Hello, everyone.
Welcome to another episode of Mosh Mag, episode 16.
Number 16, guys. Note 6. Today we have a special, very, very special. We are in location in Northern California.
Yes.
And we are going to have an interview with Mr. Steve Zetro Sousa.
Of Exodus. Our first interview.
Yeah, this is our first interview. And, hell, why not go for the gusto, right? Just go swinging for the fences. We wanted to do this little preview of
what's coming up.
Yeah, what's coming
what
up.
We got going on.
Because we're going to go straight into this and then not give you any information whatsoever at the end. It's just going to end. But it's a really cool interview. Talks a little bit everything, right?
Yeah. I think we
really
covered
cool.
everything.
Yeah.
With Exodus, the old stuff. It's pretty cool.
Next week, what we are going to, in the next episode, we are going to have Slayer. That's what I'm here in Northern California doing. I photographed Slayer. We're going to have a review of all four.
Bands,
yeah, 5 bands. We've got Lamb of God, Behemoth, Anthrax, Testament, and of course the mighty Slayer.
So we'll have some amazing pictures up at Mosh Mag, reviews. That's all coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it more in the next show.
Yeah,
We'll get into detail with all that.
So Scott, why don't you give them all our how to get a hold of us deals and schmeals.
You know how to do it, guys. Our website is www.moshmag.com. You can reach us on Twitter and Instagram. It's mosh_mag. You can hit us on any device that's any voice device, activated device, by just saying, Alexa, play Mosh Mag Podcast.
Boom.
Or ask Google to play Mosh Mag Podcast.
Hey, even Siri.
And Siri will play it as well.
That mother will do it too.
We are everywhere. So check us out. And like I said again, thanks for listening. And,
yes, thank you.
Here's Steve Zetro. Here's our interview.
Look.
This is Steve Zetro Sousa from Exodus, and you're listening to Mosh Mag. Turn it up.
Hey, what's up? This is Donald Tardy with Obituary, and you're listening to Mosh Mag. Turn it up.
And we're live. And we are here with Steve Zetro Sousa.
Of Exodus.
Yeah.
Where are we?
We are in Dublin, California. Sunny, cold.
No, not cold. Not too cold.
For me, it is. Shit, this is cold shit, motherfucker.
It's not too bad.
I guess so for you.
Hey, fucking Arizona.
Chandler.
So looks like you're on vacation there, buddy.
I don't know
right?
about vacation. Ain't never like vacation. No, we're about ready to go out again. So we leave June 3rd for our first shows in Paris on June 5th. And we'll start 6 weeks of the summer run in Europe with pretty much most festivals, a few headlining dates in between, but more festivals and,
When are you guys going to start recording? Do you know?
When Gary comes back.
Nothing planned.
Honestly, I have to be honest. But if you see New Exodus by the end of 2019, then we've really made some tracks. His commitments with the other band is solid, and we can't do an Exodus record without him.
No.
And so it's what are we supposed to do? So that's why from now we'll just we'll be playing. We're just going to keep playing.
Is that how it was like last year? The last album.
I wasn't on the real cycle though for that. I only
right.
came in as it was.
That's right.
Pretty much finished and ready to go. So I don't remember that if it was or it wasn't. I know he's got lots of riffs and I know he has lots of songs, but it's just the fact of the focus on this band opposed to having to finish out with the other band. And I don't know, nobody knows how long that's going to be.
Cool. Okay, I'm just going to go down. We have a list of shit that we wrote down. It's probably going to go, and knowing you're really going to He'll give us what we want, so it doesn't matter really what we really wrote down. So, what do you think was the popularity of the Bay Area metal scene in the late 70s and early 80s? What made that really why was it so popular here and it wasn't really anywhere else?
My opinion of what it was?
Right, yeah.
I would say that, I guess from where we grew up to everywhere in the Bay Area, there were kids that were like us and that grew up listening to what we listened to. And it was ironic that so many of those kids had the same ear for it all. So it seemed like very natural to do that if you were from here. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it was like to be from somewhere else because I didn't grow up anywhere else. So, I mean, even at that point, you're naive to what's going on outside you. You know, you don't know. You think, wow, every major city or metropolis must have 13 killer thrash bands deep, right? Yeah. You know, and then when we all started to get signed and we were like 21 and 22 and we're going on tour, we realized that, wow, I guess no wonder why it's so revered is it was very isolated if you look at it. You know, for as many as there were from this area, the music was isolated. I mean, I can't think of every state that represents that. You know, I can only think of a few, you know, and California was a big part of it. I would have to say more California, New York, New Jersey, you know what I mean, when it came to the top bands, because it came to all of us that came from the Bay Area. And then you had the LA bands, and the bigger ones were was Dark Angel and Slayer and Megadeth. And then there was, you know, Chicago. Everybody always considered E-Trope. You guys remember E-Trope? They were a Chicago band. Them and Trouble as kind of part of our era sound. And then there was Anthrax and Overkill. And at that time, Nuclear Assault.
Nuclear Assault, yeah.
So there was those certain thrash bands that came from there. There wasn't really one from Florida. You might consider Malevolent Creation one, but it was more death metal bands that came from there. So if you looked at the United States from a bird's eye view, you know, it was pretty isolated. You know what I mean? The sound, where the sound was, where the sound carried from, where it had resonated, where people to this day will still go buy a fucking Ruthie's Inn t-shirt. You know what I mean? Because they heard of Ruthie's Inn, you know?
Well, that brings up another thing. Like, did you consider the East Bay being the birthplace of thrash?
I don't say East Bay. You can't say that because there were so many people from on the other sides. I mean, Death Angel guys were all from San Francisco.
Right.
So, you know.
Or say the Bay Area in general.
Yeah,
I would say the Bay Area.
More so than LA.
Well, I mean, of course, because Exodus was doing it before anybody was doing it, honestly.
Exactly.
I mean, regardless of who got the accolades for it later on in life, Exodus, you know, did it before Anthrax and Metallica. There wasn't even a Megadeth.
Exactly.
Because he was still in Metallica when they were learning how to do it, you know? So you can't, you have to look at 80, 81, Exodus was playing, you know, the music. And I think that it was more of the fusion of us were, our attitude's punk rock, and our music is ferocity and fast like punk rock, but it's intricate like British heavy metal. It's got guitar parts, it's got picking, it's got a drum sound. It's not easy necessarily to play. To play a double kick as fast as Tom Hunting plays it, you better know what you're doing, you know, Dave Lombardo and so on. You know what I mean? So you better, it's not like something you just come in and pick up sticks and boom, cab, boom, boom, cab, you know, and it's a rock beat, you know, wow. You better know what you're doing. If you're right hand, picking wise in thrash metal, it better be as good as your left hand, you know? Gary, listen to Exodus songs. Other thrash metal for that matter, but especially Exodus songs. Gary does so much different picking stuff with his right hand. It's just really good. That's a pug attack, by the way.
not the Exodus attack. But so do you really would you consider you guys should have been in the Big Four?
I don't consider the Big Four the Big Four.
Neither do I.
I consider it the Big One and the other three. You know, I mean, honestly, you have on your T-shirt right there where one of the Big Four is skipping a spot.
Yeah.
If they were so Big Four, shouldn't they lie right under that?
Exactly, and that's how I thought
You know
about
what I
that.
mean? So unfortunately,
as well.
but that band is bigger than
Yes.
that other band. So how big is a Big Four? I know personally from playing with Metallica, they can sell 90,000 tickets. Those three bands together, regardless of God bless them, I love them to death. They're my boys. Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, I love them, but they're not the size of Metallica.
Yeah.
They never will be.
Nope.
You know, so where's the tier stop? Does it go Metallica tier, those three bands tier, Exodus, Testament, Overkill tier, Death Angel tier? How many tiers do you have there? You know what I mean?
It's like
I don't
genres.
look at it like that. I'm very fortunate to keep playing this 33 years after the initial record came out. How many bands from that genre, and I'm not talking about metal bands, I'm talking about when you watched MTV in 1985, when Bonded by Blood came out, how many bands in other musical genres are still putting out records, kick-ass albums, that people still want to listen to? None but the metal bands.
Exactly.
None but the metal bands.
Yeah, that's the thing. This genre over the years has held its course. You know what I mean?
Nobody, and I mean that goes for anybody.
Yeah.
Dystopia won the Grammy a couple years ago. Great record.
Yeah.
For All Kings, great record. And Slayer hasn't put out a shitty record.
Nah.
The last three Testament records are all gold.
Yeah.
Death Angel along with it. Go to the genre. Go Overkill. Go to the genre. Nobody's putting out, well, there's like 3 songs on it I like, and then a couple of fillers.
Yeah,
Nobody's throwing fillers up there for you, gentlemen. They're giving you, you know, right smack dab in the face what you deserve.
Yeah.
What you get, you know. And I think that's a test to us all being huge fans of what we do and what we still do. It's like, you know, 2 weeks ago, we're at Saxon and Priest, and you know, we're hanging out with these guys. It's like, you know what I mean? We're one of them. You know what I mean? We consider us of what we do. Yeah. We're like they are. You know what I mean? And you know, for fans to respect you like that, nice. And have that kind of, I mean, who would have ever knew? Not me growing up in this town.
Did you ever think you'd last this long in this
I don't
business?
think anybody ever does.
Yeah,
I really don't. I think that you get an initial period to go and you do it, and everything else is a plus. That's why, and that's another thing. Mm-hmm. I think that every one of us, because this music went away for a while.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to remember around 93.
In the public eye, yeah.
92, it kind of died off. And then you got old Pearl Jam and all those kind of bands came in, and lead guitar wasn't even something, so they played for 10 years. Metal was Limp Bizkit and Creed and Pearl Jam, and that was your hard music. You know what I mean? Those are the Outlaws. It's like, what the hell happened? So I think that when Chuck got sick, Chuck Billy, and they did Thrash of the Titans, a lot of bands got back together that day for the performance. Yes, but I think it also, a lot of bands looked at each other and said, wow, there's still a crowd out there for us. Mm-hmm. There's still people out there that want to hear this music.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
And I think that started, although Exodus was the first to put out a record. For Temple of the Damned came out maybe a year or two after that. It followed along. And other bands did it. Even everybody, the Lost Rocket, did a new record. You know what I mean? To try to get that in. You know, some of us has held true. You know.
Yeah.
So.
But why do you think that where there was that resurgence? What do you think there was anything, or do you just think?
What I think this is my theory on it. I think people like myself went and became parents, went to school. What they did in their 20s. Or learned to do in their 20s, they went off and did in their 30s and did whatever, and we kind of didn't go to shows anymore. Right. And then after a while, our kids got a little older because I have a 28-year-old son, you know, and so it's like, who actually are in the business, both of them. So I know what it's like to have to be there for baseball, and soccer. I mean, the Exodus fans know that. And so now it's like, I don't even have no grandkids. The only thing you hear is what's barking around this house. So I don't have any ties. So I think a lot of us, you know, I go out and I talk to Max Cavalera from Soulfly and obviously Cavalera Conspiracy and Sepultura. And, you know, Richie, his son, plays with him now. You know what I mean? They have their own thing. So it's like, I think a lot of us were raising children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Break.
And doing that part of it. And then it came that, well, you know what? They're all right. Our kids are all right. They're going to be okay. And I think it was time for us to all continue. I know it was for me, especially like I said before, when I you know, people knew I had done construction for 20 years, union carpenter, stand by the union label, you know. And right as I got my 20-year pin, a month later is when I got called to, you know, re-audition for the stuff for Blood In, Blood Out and see if, you know, if I still had anything in the gas tank. So,
but you know
here
what?
you are.
But, I know. I've always looked at metal as being it went into start getting into hairband. It got really hard. Then it started getting really light, and then here comes grunge, and grunge I kind of helped it to destroy hair bands for me. From my
I think that
perspective.
I honestly, I think that was also a derivative from the record labels themselves. They were tired of the wingers and the slaughters and the this, and there was so many of them coming around left and right. It's like, what do you do now? How do you? There's only one where to go from up, and that's down. So I remember the weekend that Headbangers Ball got pulled off, and they started a show called Super Rock, and it was like, it had like videos with like Rob Zombie, but it also had like Sonic Youth in there too, you know, and Smashing Pumpkins. So it was like heavy, but and I remember guitar tones stayed heavy, but I mean, you know, listen to that. It Smells Like Teen Spirit, and the guitar is really heavy in there.
Yeah.
The tone is really, really, it's subtle and then it gets really heavy. So it's really catchy. So they kind of took from us a little bit, you know, they took the tone, the guitar tone, and made it sound like kind of a metal sound, but really towards a really more of a pop, inject, I guess they tried to, you know, inject it with a little pop in there with some heavy guitar and no lead guitar playing, and the formula was successful for quite some time.
Yeah, and I really noticed how really great lyrically. They were incredible. Like that grunge. God, name a singer. Like, sheesh.
I mean, Nirvana. I mean, if you sing, you know, Kurt Cobain stuff is like, let's read his lyrics. They're unbelievable.
I know, and it's like, and that's what I come back to you.
Heart-Shaped Box is unbelievably deep, you know, and I think Chris Cornell wrote some good stuff. Lane Staley wrote some, although Jerry Cantrell wrote a lot of that stuff.
Right.
I just think that they had great lyrical stuff. I just wasn't, personally, it just didn't do it for me, man. I needed
Yeah, no, exactly. See, and that's like the new genre that's out now. What I call like the Breaking Benjamin, that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of the same, where it's a lot of melody and then it's hard, you know, hard guitar.
Yeah, I'm actually really good friends
metal
with the guys in Of Mice and Men.
Okay,
and I love Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
I think they're really heavy and they're really talented. And I think, you know, because when you talk to them about it, it's like, you know, I always say it like this. So remember when the fall comes, and they laugh, and it's like, there's only one where to go from the top. And I explain it like this. You're a rock star. Then you become a has-been. Then you're a legend.
Yeah.
And it works. And if you can handle those three phases, you'll be all right. Yeah. We've made it through those phases, you know.
Oh, that's
I mean, even if you think about, say, Priest, everybody loves Priest. Who would say a bad word about Priest? But, you know, through the years when they had like Turbo and Ram It Down, they weren't writing their heaviest material.
No.
And then he quit in like 93, 94, and they brought Ripper in, and they did that record Jugulator. That is a great record. That album's really heavy. And it's like, it's just, you know, you kind of think, wow, what if Rob did this record?
Yeah.
What it would be like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, everybody goes through their period where, it's very awkward, I guess.
Where are you going here? Go ahead, buddy.
Let's see. So, bastard.
That's you to the wolves, bitch. Go ahead.
So, when did you find out you wanted to sing? When?
I don't think I think I more wanted to perform than anything.
Oh.
And I took this singing on because everybody played guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was like you either had to be a great guitar player or you had to know how to talk.
Yeah.
And I knew I could talk better than I could play guitar.
There you go.
If you used to watch any of the legacy shows, the in-between raps that I used to come up with were quite... and I didn't know any better, so I don't know. It worked out.
Did you ever play?
Yes,
play
I do. I play guitar, I play bass, I play drums.
Oh, okay.
I can play, but no, I was gonna be medium, not large. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
You're a great front man.
That's why it's better that was more my take. I think my personality fit more being a singer and a front man.
What was your first show? I mean, what was it?
Phil with the Metal Warrior at the Brick House in 1980, September of 83. And I feel that I had a very quick rise to success. I knew guys who had done it for years. I sang in my very first band in 1983, September. By June of 86, I was in Exodus.
Oh, wow.
That's less than 3 years.
Yeah.
From the first time I ever picked up a microphone.
Yeah.
And in between that shit, I had put together Legacy and hired Alex Skolnick and Greg Christian and wrote these killer songs and did this demo. So I was like writing music. It's very simple to me.
That's awesome.
People go, how do you do it? And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
How can you not?
And I don't look at it like that. And I want people like, how do you come up with it? How do you do it? What's the process? You know what I mean? And there's a formula for everything.
Yeah.
And there's a way that I do it, but it comes naturally to me. I can write something to something. Even if a song has been a certain way and sung a certain way, you could wipe the vocal out, play the music, and I can come up with something else that sounds just as cool. You know,
that's
and
awesome.
I've always been able to do that. I always used to take songs off the radio, KFRC,
Oh my God,
and I
yeah.
could change them around. I could always put in my own words or put in my own phrasing, and it always worked. I don't know. It was just, I guess, practice that I did from a kid, and then when I started writing songs when I was in my teens, the first Legacy stuff was written when I was 19, 20 years old. The first Legacy album. I was just a little kid then when I was writing those.
I mean, so when you
I wasn't even literary, I don't think, at that point.
when you played the quad at Dublin High,
Probably about 4 shows in. 5, maybe
Yeah.
5.
Wow.
I remember that.
By about 5
Yeah.
shows. No, only what I learned off of watching television and concerts. That, you know what I mean, and how to act on stage, basically.
Yeah,
Because you emulate what you see.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Anybody on stage that makes any kind of movement or rocks at all is emulating something they've seen in the past. That's all I've done is emulate. You know what I mean? And just imitate what other people have seen that I do. And
What do you think the reason that there's so much metal here in Dublin? I mean, it baffles me.
That goes back to my first part of so many people were into the same thing very deeply, and I don't know that the people in this town are not driven. I was driven. I knew Troy Laketta before he was in Tesla. We lived across the street from each other. He was driven. I know Chuck got lucky as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry. I handed him that job right over. Handed it right to him. So I did the work for it. I did the work in Exodus. I did the work in Exodus. That's right, Jim. You don't have to say anything.
I didn't say
I handed him. He did a great job with it. I'll say this. He's done a great job maintaining it and creating his own persona with that.
Yeah.
So that I could not have done for him. But he got it. He did his Guilt and Rampage.
Guilt.
And little bands like that. And then he got handed the keys to a brand new Cadillac. So he drove it really well, though.
So how was that transition for you?
For me, it wasn't all that much. I mean, I think that people were tripping on it.
Was it hard for you to go from something like you built, from scratch to...
It was, but I kept feeling that I was the only one that was like, I felt when I got into Exodus, there's all these other guys that had great ideas too, you know what I mean? A lot of the lyrical content was all just me, you know what I mean? It was like they would write the music and go, here, go name the song and go come up with the lyrics. And it's like, well... And now it's like I wouldn't mind that at all, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, the Hatred stuff, the first 2 records, I named every song and wrote every word.
Oh, nice.
So I mean, it's like, it's just how I do it. So I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? But I think at the time, and I said this and I remember saying this, that I kept being afraid that I felt up to that point that when I quit, and I honestly, I mean, look at the opportunity. Exodus, Bonded by Blood. This band was the biggest band that year that came out. And they want you. Yeah. And who knew what was going to happen with Legacy?
Yeah.
We were big in the clubs, but still, who knew? There was still that, that element of it could all still go poof. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I jumped on that, and I felt that Gary was, and he is, just as good lyricist as I was, or better, So I had that much help, to where Eric wrote a little bit at first, and Derek wrote, but Derek was no longer in the band. And so that I was the one that was doing it most of the I come up with the song titles. I came up with the stuff. I mean, if you look at all of the song titles on the album Legacy, even Apocalyptic City, I didn't write. But I came up, they took my vocal phrasing and they kept the name of the song.
Oh, cool.
But the only thing I didn't name on that record was Do or Die. And I mean, the real simple name, Do or Die. Everything else was mine.
What one song do you think that you left behind that you were like, oh man, I wish I could just bring that along with me? And
I don't know if there's just one song I could have brought along with me. I mean, because if I wanted to play them, I'd play them.
But you know what I mean? Like, what one song that was like, oh man, that's my baby?
I don't know. Oh, fuck. I'd have to say something off the demo. Probably Raging Waters or Alone in the Dark.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to say
2
that.
great songs. Yep. Speaking of that, with the songs,
oh my god. Where the fuck are you at? You fucking stoner. I swear to fucking god. What the hell? What is your favorite song to play? Like, say, in any fucking collection, what's one song you go on fucking stage and go, I can't wait to fucking play that song?
Anything off of Bonded.
Really?
Yeah, anything. I'd love to play. In fact, we're playing Deliver Us to Evil on this tour.
Oh, cool.
And since I've been back in the band, we haven't done that. We only did it at the chapel.
Right.
So we're doing that on this tour, and I love Deliver Us to Evil. So
you guys don't play a lot off of Pleasures of the Flesh a lot?
We're switching that up, though, as we've been going around. Like the last one we played, Deranged. Mm-hmm. We played Brain Dead, and we played Pleasures of the Flesh. We are playing Parasite on this tour.
See,
we haven't played Parasite in 30 years. Mm-hmm. So we did a song switch. There's 7 songs that we swapped out and swapped in other than the Bonded stuff. So that's kind of like I was doing Children of a Worthless God and Iconoclasm and the Ballad of Leonard and Charles. I'm going to be doing Death Amphetamine and Funeral Hymn now of the Rob Dukes era. We were doing Ward's My Shepherd, and we always do Blacklist. We're going to do Shroud of Urine this time. We were doing Fabulous Disaster, Last Act of Defiance. We're going to do Corruption this time. So we're switching it up a little bit. So
that is really cool. I like that.
Do you guys keep the same set list throughout a whole tour?
No, for the tour, yes. Okay. For the tour. And then, on the Fist Festival run, every night the minutes will be different. One night will be 50 minutes. One night will be an hour and 10. One night will be 45. One night will be 90 minutes, so it'll stay in the ballpark.
Yeah, so you just kind of mix them up.
It's kind of in the ballpark. Yeah.
What's the craziest? What tour was like the best tour you can remember as you look back on that year?
anything that happened in '89.
Oh, really?
And if I was to go back to any year in my career that I felt that we were still new and fresh, we were only 3 records out of the gate. It was 1980. We did MTV Headbangers Ball Tour. We were all over the TV because I remember even in the middle of the day when they weren't showing metal videos, Martha Quinn would even be going, "Hey, and don't forget," because it was the station, so they supported it, and just the promiscuity that went on that tour.
Oh my God.
I'll use the word consumption because that's a fair word to use for that. The consumption was at an all-time high. I remember on days off, I remember like the Anthrax guys, one day we all got tickets to go see the A's and the Orioles at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. That was cool. We got to we played a softball game, Exodus versus Anthrax.
Oh, that's cool.
At a place where nobody knew. The 2 buses pulled up to a baseball park. There were no fans, no press, no nothing, and the 2 bands played softball against each other. It was just, I was young. Mm-hmm. I'm 25 years old, and I mean, it's like the candy store. You have the keys to the door, and the candy store was just loaded.
Yeah.
And so it was like, again, we're still here today, but those years were quite formidable, I must say.
Yeah, especially to be backed by MTV. I mean, that
was the medium at that time. If you're alive now and you're young and you don't realize that MTV, if you were on MTV, you were major.
Yeah.
It don't matter. If your video played on MTV, and you were never heard of before and your video played, you could go and play any club and it would be sold out just because you'd have one fucking song and they'd go see you because our old manager Tony ran a club in San Francisco called Wolfgang's, and we used to go to Wolfgang's to see other acts just to go there to drink and party. And I remember going to see the Outfield. Oh, remember the Outfield?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And the place was packed. Why? Because that video was on MTV every 2 hours. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was just like, if you were on there, so many bands.
Yeah, it's like the whole Cinderella story where they did a commercial for a hot dog place because he was buying time on MTV.
Right.
Yeah, and that like just came out, and they were trying to get on MTV, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it." And it's like that commercial's hilarious. But hey, you know, it got them a spot. Exactly what you're saying. You know,
they were an incredible band, though. Cinderella was a really good band. I was listening to. I saw. What did I see? The video for Gypsy Rose the other day, and I was just, when they're showing the video, it was bringing me back. Because I remember those days. Oh, yeah. And the way they were dressed.
Yes.
And they're like hanging out with each other, like off the bus and screwing around. When there was no wives and children and none. And it was like just Fred and Jeff and Tommy and Eric, and they were all together and they were just playing, you know, like, and I was like, man, it's probably 88. 88, 89, man. It was it was just awesome. Yeah. And we were at we were kids in charge of the world at the time. We really were.
That was around the Barn days, huh? Barn and the stage and all that.
Oh yeah.
See, that's what got me into the metal.
But it was a little bit. That was the Barn and the stage.
And those parties.
Actually, it's funny because I had to go to the bank yesterday. My bank is still up there where Romley's used to be.
Yeah.
And I was looking across the street because it's a daycare now.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I used to go to ripper Halloween parties at this sucker, man. Unbelievable. So it's the trip how the town has changed and everything.
It's amazing that whole Romley's area over there, man.
It's a park.
Yeah, that blows me away. So, another thing is about the music scene versus metal's huge in Europe. You guys are probably like, and versus here.
It's big like it is everywhere. I
Is
mean,
it big
has
there?
its, everybody says that from here. You know what
exactly.
I mean? It's not necessarily. Depending on, they know how to do a festival better.
Yeah.
And the area's not as big as the United States. So you take those countries all together, it's half of the United States. So if you think about the festivals and the way that people, they really don't travel to go to shows. It's like, say like we live in Dublin and we'll go to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in Europe, that's three shows between here and there.
Oh, wow.
If it makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 3 shows.
Wow.
That may be 3 countries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, that's a trip.
Yeah, I always looked at it like, when you guys go to Brazil, and Brazil is like off the freaking chain. These guys are absolutely. I'm just wondering if there is a difference of why it's still
Chile. Chile's the same way.
Yeah.
Argentina.
Yeah.
Uruguay, Paraguay. They're unbelievably fan. Man, just they love it. They're at your hotels. They're at the airports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their cars are decorated with your face on them. They just take it so to heart. And when you're right there standing in front of them, I mean, they're crying. You know what I mean? They're like so thankful.
It's got to be an amazing film.
Yeah, it's a trip. It is.
Especially when you're standing up there and people are singing your song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about this. Ozzy goes, generals gathered in their masses, and what does the crowd do?
Oh, of course.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it and they sing it, but the whole fucking crowd sings it loud. He don't even need to sing that part. So think about that as opposed. I do get it on a certain level, but think about somebody like Sabbath when he goes, generals gathered in their masses.
He's like,
and he just goes,
There you go.
and the little kid who's 5 years old on his dad's shoulders, just like witches, black man. You know what I mean? He's got the answer. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about metal. It's right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very in love with its heart. You either love it or you do not like it at all.
Oh, the puppy.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like that was my experiences too. I mean, I've always met the greatest people in metal. It's just
I never hear a bad thing about people. People say, "Man, I look at these scary people and they're all cool when we do the cruises." Because I know the people that run the cruises and stuff, and they say, "Man, they have hip hop cruises. They got to worry about. They got guns and everything.
Yep.
They never have fights on the heavy metal cruises. There's never any trouble on the rock and roll cruises."
Yeah, that's what gets me about, they always want to ban, like, moshing, and, and all that, but you never see anybody really, everyone's helping everybody up.
Because nobody
I won't stand. You know how I run my show.
Yeah.
I won't stand for it. If I see somebody getting funny out there, God, that's one of the first things. If I see they're rowdy, right after my first break that I get to talk to them, hey, how's it going? Good to be here. Yada, 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 yada. Yo, take care of each other tonight.
Yeah.
Somebody goes down, pick them back up.
Yeah.
Help them out. If somebody gets nailed and gets a little woozy, help them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know we're all in this together, man.
Because if you hit the ground, you can always crawl.
No.
Oh,
Huh, baby? You want to go and you want to talk in the mic now?
oh cute. Yeah.
He's a
So
baby.
with his pug. I'll
She's
get
a
a picture
baby.
of it so you guys can see what we're actually looking at.
She's a
So,
baby.
God, what else do you got?
There's got to be. Okay, so is there a song that you guys would like to play in concert, but that you don't?
A lot of the down tune stuff, they don't bring extra guitars for it.
Oh, okay.
So there's a couple of down tune songs that we don't play. I don't know those sort of things, so I'm like, let's play this one. And they're like, Zet, we got to bring everybody's got to make a whole nother guitar change for that. I'm like, so? That's what we pay people for.
But we're older now.
What's the problem? So there's a few, but I mean, again, like we've said from the beginning, I'm just fortunate to be doing this so many years later.
That's the one thing about it. You've always been gracious. Even, do you think you lost that love at one point at the end? Like when you did, you went to go do construction?
I think I've
Did you
always
ever
been
think you were gonna
gracious
be
with
back?
the business. it's great. Going to do the construction was something I had to do. The business wasn't paying at the time, and I had little kids, and I had no choice. You know what I mean? So you have to do what you have to do in life. It's unfortunately, you know what I mean? You read about that all the time where, you know, musicians or actors, they go broke. Well, we all went broke. Instead of me crying about it and going into rehab and getting drunk and finding me on the street, I went and got a fucking job. You know what I mean? You know,
you got to be responsible. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck it. You sit there and cry. Woe is me. I'm this major rock star now. I don't get paid. Well. Shut up and go get a fucking job, crybaby.
But did you think that that break really helped you?
I think it's better. That break was better for me this time.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I didn't appreciate it before, but I extra appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anybody who meets me or anybody who comes and knows this or knows me and listens to this will say he's right. He's 100%. The guy's the most approachable guy in metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have a problem talking to fans, taking pictures with anybody from anybody, anywhere we're at. I never want a fan's experience with me to be a bad experience. So, you know, if I have to go outside the bus for 20 minutes, it's a little cold, and sign autographs and take pictures and stuff, that's just what I do.
I've seen you
always been it. I've always done it. I will continue to be that way until they put me in the box.
That's good. Because there's not a lot that do that. You know, we've seen it many.
Yeah,
many
I mean
times.
that's funny. I bring that up a lot because, you know, growing up with all you guys, you have, out of everybody, all of our other friends that are in bands and stuff, you've always been totally nice to me.
I
don't
feel
there's always been cool.
People should be a dick to people for any reason whatsoever because you have a title or you get to do something in life that most people don't get to experience. And it's true. I mean, other than the musician friends that I have, I don't know anybody who got to live this life or got to be an actor or do something that's kind of, I guess, out of left field. You know what I mean? Not cookie cutter job necessarily. And I don't take it for granted, and I don't take any of the fans for granted. I mean, shit, they're buying concert tickets and buying my t-shirts, and they're still buying my records. You know what I mean? So I owe them 2 minutes. I owe them the photo pass. You know, I owe them that as far as I'm concerned. If you catch me, you caught me. You know what I mean? Basically, you know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
Do you think that, when do you think you're going to have enough? Do you have a time limit? Do you kind of look at it and go,
what else would I do?
I know.
It's no fun. People think their whole life, man, what do you do when you retire? What, you go fishing? You just chill around, go golfing all day? Well, I pretty much live a retired lifestyle now. You know what I mean? When I'm not on tour, I get to do what I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, it's like I get bored real quick too, man. You ride your Harley, you take the dogs to the dog park, you go to the movies, you know what I mean? I go to the gym every day. I try to keep myself busy and active and stuff, but I don't think, I think music is something that you know, it's always been in you. So as long as I can perform at the same level, why not do it?
Yeah. I've always remembered this about you, and it's crazy because your ass could be sleeping until noon, and every freaking time that hey Zet, I'll be there around noon. Like shit, half my day's done by then. I'm up, you know. And that's kind of cool. You always had that little like work ethic to get your ass up.
Yeah, I get up at 7 every day or 7:30. I don't get up any later than that. If I look at the clock and it's like 8 o'clock, I start to panic like the day's wasting away. I do not get it, even on tour. I'll get up in the morning and Lee won't even be in his bed yet. And I'll be like, you still up, bro? Yeah, because what are you doing? I'm getting up, man. It's like 8:30. He's like, I'm going to hit my bunk here in about half an hour. It's like, but then again, you don't have nothing to do all day, right? You know what I mean? You don't have to be at sound check until 4:30, 5 o'clock. So 9 o'clock to 5, that's a whole 8 hours sleeping right there. But when I'm up and I'm walking in and out of the venue 100 times, and the first fans that are at the show usually get their shot at me because I'm walking around, and you know what I mean? And I'll find something to do, and I'll hang out with everybody. And it seems like everybody on the tour will know who I am because I introduce myself to everybody. And I'll know who the light guy for Mr. Pickles is. Yeah. I shit you not. At the end of the Mr. Pickles tour, everybody else in the band were like, Zetro, who's that guy? I'm like, oh, he's the stage manager guy. He's got, well, who's that guy? Oh, he ran the merchandise. Who are those 4 guys? They did the LED screen. They said, and one guy was in there. Like, I knew everybody, and they didn't necessarily, because that's their vampire hour. To me, I'm up. I'm walking around. Hey, good morning. Hey, what's up, man? From day one. But then last month, I get this box with my name on it. Who's it from? Cartoon Network. Oh. Box full of Rick and Morty swag. Oh, I mean, anything you could throw, blanket, all kinds of shirts, all kinds of stuff.
Awesome. I love
little Rick and Morty dolls and shit. Cool, because I told him I love the cartoon, and I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network. I like all of the cartoons.
Yeah,
I love Mike Tyson's Mysteries. You ever watched that?
Nuh-uh.
Wow. No way.
Mike Tyson's Mysteries?
You've never watched?
Oh
Mike
shit!
Tyson?
I gotta go.
Oh my god, it's great. I'm a big fan of the. I watch Black Jesus. I watch a lot of the stuff that's on there. I think it's funny. I think they have good stuff on there. They're cartoons. Obviously Metalocalypse.
Yeah,
of
course.
So I was a big.
That's why I love that Mr. Pickles. That's so cool. You guys are doing stuff with them.
That was really cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a good tour.
Dude, I remember back in the day. I don't know, just remember us going in after you signed, was it May?
It was to, no. It was to Combat.
Yeah, Combat.
We were at Robbie's house, remember?
Right.
And we took Elliot, went to Maxwell's Plum. I had a lobster. We were throwing it around the table.
Throwing escargot up in the air, trying to swallow it. Start yelling at... We are okay.
And our manager's encouraging this behavior.
Oh, yeah. And here I am. Can you imagine me? And that's what always brings back to how he always was. He was always down to earth. He brought me along, and I'm just sitting there at this fucking table, and then I just start looking around, going, "Holy shit! Look who I'm sitting at this fucking table with." And we're throwing shit, we're throwing food, we're doing all this shit. That was an incredible day. That was fucking really badass.
That's why we still remember it.
Oh, to a fucking T, man. It was fucking badass. It was so fun. Yelling at chicks across the bar. That's what, hey, you gotta chill out. And we're like, okay. Chill out. I ain't saying nobody named.
You don't have to chill out. Tony's like, you don't have to chill out.
Yeah.
She's manager.
Had the fucking, I remember it was like $1,400 bill. Yeah.
Oh, geez, record company paid for it.
Oh, yeah.
That was our dinner.
And that's when it brings back the shoes. I remember you guys, they were at, well, what do you want for your signing bonus? Shoes.
Yeah,
I want some shoes. Jordans. I want Jordans for our signing bonus.
Jordans. But what we got Jordans to sign.
No shit. Uh-huh. That's awesome.
And then you remember, then on that next album, didn't you burnt the shoes. Yeah. So it all came down to fruition. I was like going through all this shit. So that's cool. I love that shit. Cool. That was great times. Great time. Okay, man, I think that's it. You have anything else you want to say?
No, just thanks to all the metal fans for listening. Keep listening.
Cool. Thanks. We appreciate you doing the show with us.
Yeah, totally, man.
It was a lot of fun.
We'll get you when you start recording now.
Yep.
That's nice.
Right, need a year and a half or so. Better off getting Patreon.
I know.
Yeah, I'd love to get dealing with them too.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Mosh Mag out.
Peace.
Peace.
There we go.